This is a 1973 Jeep CJ5. And really great thing about this Jeep is it's an Arizona Jeep. It spent all of its life in Arizona. It still has an Arizona title on it, in fact. And it really is one of the few pretty much truly rust-free Jeeps that I've seen in with original steel. And it is all steel body. This is a great driver Jeep. This would actually be a great Jeep to really use it for what it was intended for, aside from driving around town and looking cool. Getting off-road in this thing. One of the reservations, I have a newer Jeep. I have a TJ and or a YJ, and it's tough when you have $15,000–$16,000 in your Jeep to want to be driving it through the woods. So this is a much more affordable way to buy into a Jeep and really use it for what it was intended to be used for. It's a good looking driver, kind of, I'd call it a 20 footer. From 20 feet away, you wouldn't see any imperfections on it. Getting up close though, you'll see there was some sort of a dent here and a repair that was done. It's a little bit of a weld mark. So there's a few little body spots that I'm going to show you going around. There's no dents here, but just a couple of little scratches where the paint got scratched off. And that actually happened because the Jeep has these two little clamps on there, and that's for a tow bar, and that comes with a Jeep. So you can actually just really simply throw the tow bar on there. And in fact, that's how I brought it home. I went to Birmingham and picked it up, and the guy that I got it from in Birmingham had brought it from Arizona. But I went to Birmingham, we put the tow bar on it, I hooked it to the back of my truck, and we pulled it home. Just put it in neutral, took the four-wheel drive out and everything, and made sure it was ready to rock. So yeah, it's a Jeep that has been used off-road. The story on it is that it was in the Grand Canyon area, and that the gentleman who's owned it since it was new was using it to guide tours and things up and down and out of the canyon. This is the worst spot. There's a little dent here, probably where somebody backed up into something at some point. It wouldn't take much to pound out the dents if you really wanted it to look great. But for the money, you know, all the nice Jeeps out there right now, I mean, Jeeps are just so hot that for the money, I mean, all the nice Jeeps I've been looking at are, you know, they're $15,000+. I've got over 15 grand in my Jeep that I drive. I drive it daily, and I always think twice before I take it off-road because it just got too much money in it. So to get into a Jeep for like under $8,000 that runs great and drives good and is ready to go off-roading is really, I think, more of a gem to find these days. It's got a 6-cylinder engine in it, original, and we'll pop the hood here. The engine runs strong. The transmission shifts good. Push that all the way back, actually. So like I said, nice, good, strong engine. One thing that it does have upgraded is it's got this header on there, which is kind of cool. It's got these, you know, single header there. I think the old exhaust was, you know, obviously just a plain old manifold. The brakes stop good on this Jeep. And like I said, the big selling point is there's no rust. You know, these things had a tendency to rust out in the hood, and they had a tendency to rust out everywhere. So the fact that it's a West Coast Jeep, dry, arid desert Jeep, is a big plus. The lights work, the speedometer works. So I've shown you around the outside. Inside, the 2 front seats are brand new. It actually, when we picked it up, it had some real hideous, like, racing seats in it. So I ordered these Smitty built, brand new, period correct front bucket seats again. It's got a newer seat in the back. That's not brand new, it's a couple years old, but it still looks like new. The inside, of course, there's only one compromise that I know in the entire Jeep, and that is there is a hole here underneath the back. And what it looks like is when they were pulling the back seat out, they may have ripped it or done something like that to it, because it's the single only spot of little, if you want to call it, rust or a hole that I've seen on the whole truck. So down here you can see, of course, nice rhino liner that's been done onto the interior, totally rust free, super solid floor pans. The dash is in good shape. Like I said, the gauges are working. Of course, aftermarket gauges are working. So you can see it's not completely warmed up. Good oil pressure. Now the original fuel gauge and the original temp gauge are not working. It does have a new CD player in it. So with the two 6x9s underneath there, Pioneers, does look good, you know, radio cranking out the tunes. Got, like I said, a good sounding engine. Of course, it's still warming up, and you know, they can be a little cold-natured. I actually really like the way that header sounds. Make the engine, you know, sound just a little bit more beefy. Probably add a little bit of horsepower to it. Now, it drives like an old Jeep, you know. It steers a little wobbly, not crazy. It's not steering from ditch to ditch. I drove it. I've driven it a few times. I drove it to the stereo shop where we had the new stereo put in. Had a new antenna put on it and stuff like that. So I've driven it around town some. It doesn't drive like a brand new one. It drives like a 73. I've had a 71 and a 72. It drives about the same as those. So I always think it's, you know, important to be realistic about how these things drive. If you're going to be driving them, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. They don't drive like brand new ones. They drive like older vehicles. But that being said, it drives really good. Like, I just always want to clarify and be honest and say, you know, a lot of people say, oh, it drives perfect like a new car. Well, if people tell you that about an old car, they're lying. Old cars don't drive like new cars unless you spend $20,000 making them into a resto mods. So it's got this roll bar that obviously it looks like maybe a homemade or somebody did a custom job. I think it's kind of cool. It makes it really easy to get in and out of. That's one of the things that I hate about the roll bars that come to here is CJ5s are a little bit smaller than the CJ7s or even some of the newer Jeeps, and so they can be hard to get in and out of. So I like the fact that they moved the roll bar actually towards the inside. So you still have the protection, off-road protection, but it makes it a lot easier to get in and out of. It does have the frame for the soft top. I do have an older soft top for it that's going to go with it. It's not in the most fantastic shape, but it does work. Everything buttons on like it's supposed to, and it does work. I'm also got the doors. Of course, the frame for the soft top needs to go up, and then the doors can latch to it. So, or you can buy the clip that you clip on here, and then the door can latch onto it. But if you put the doors on it right now, they won't stay closed because there's nothing to latch to. Got to put the frame up first, and then the doors latch onto this frame. Man, trying to think of anything else. I don't know. I guess we haven't been underneath the Jeep yet. So yeah, this is in some ways the pride and joy of the Jeep. Rust-free, clean. Those are the original floor pans. There's no undercoating or anything on that. Well, maybe original undercoating, but this, you know, we didn't clean it up and try and cover anything with rhino liner or anything like that. This is, like I said, you kind of want this to be the pride and joy of the Jeep. The fact that you're getting a nice, clean, rust-free, original steel-bodied Jeep. So there's your floor pans, of course, frame rails, everything under here. This is all, you know, this is the reason why when the guy called me and said, hey, I have this Jeep, I went and scooped it up, because it's just, I mean, it's got an Arizona title on it. It's from, you know, look at how clean this thing is. I mean, amazing. Super, super clean. So, ow, I hit my head on that mirror. So definitely not perfect, you know, but it's not perfect price either. Nice and clean. Does have some newer shocks in the back. Tires have decent tread on them. Definitely not new. They're definitely older tires. They still got plenty of tread to drive around on. In fact, it looks like the rear tires have a little bit more tread than the front, and that's not unusual in an older four-wheel drive vehicle like this. When you're steering, the front tires have a tendency to wear out a little more than the rear. Four-wheel drive engages. Of course, you've got the locking Warren hubs in the front from the factory. I think this is going to be a super fun vehicle for the next person who drives it. If it was me, I'd just drive it. It doesn't, to me, need anything, but you know, the old acronym for Jeep is just empty every pocket, because we want to buy so many accessories. I just got done putting a new winch on my other Jeep, so You know, that's the fun thing about a Jeep like this. Is great starting price. You can jump in it, drive it, go off-roading on it in it right now, enjoy it, drive it to school every day, drive it to work if you want, enjoy it on the weekends, trail ride, and then of course grab a Jeep, you know, grab a Jeep catalog and start ordering stuff for it. Have fun with it, add things to it, enjoy it. This is a really cool driver.